Been thinking a lot about the spring rains that are soon to come. Of course, the thaw that we're experiencing beginning today, really. This is the first day we've had any kind of warmth. And did some sketching last night on a concept for a drainage system. And of course, we need to move water. When we get those spring rains, of course, the roof is taking a lot of that water into gutters all over our properties. And they're designed, of course, to move the water away from your foundation through these downspouts. So we got little downspouts here and there and everywhere. Yeah, so let's get the water out. Well, traditionally, landscape contractors and designers and what have you, builders, have used this method using 4-inch corrugated drain pipe to move water as it goes through the gutter, goes into a downspout connection, which is just a little connector down to your 90 elbow and then out into the yard underneath your edging. And we've had many problems with this over the years, and we've adapted. And one of the ways we adapted was, hey, we're getting standing water at this outlet point. So what we've done is we've done this little area at the bottom. Get this little marked here. This little area down here with gravel, and we perforated the bottom of this 90-degree elbow so that we would have no standing water, so to prevent mosquitoes from breeding. Well, that's kind of a crazy little modification we've done. We also forget about the fact that we have everything that comes into those gutters, like leaves, debris, all sorts of stuff, gathers up in this pipe and then rests down here. And if Bill and Nancy homeowner don't come out here periodically and pull this green cap off and scoop out and clean out their downspout connections, then they get back up, and then the water comes shooting back up and out the top of this and all over the foundation and creates a big old mess. So I'm sick of that. So let's go get into what I think is a good solution for these problems. And that's primarily by daylighting. If we're going to do a connection, we want to move it away from the foundation. We have a couple of methods we can use. We can take that pipe and daylight it out into a dry creek bed. So we've got the pipe, it outlets, and we have dry creek beds that run out into the yard. And what these dry creek beds are primarily is you just take some pond liner, 14 mil pond liner, lay that down, create a nice little swale, and then bring your downspout out, outlet it into the dry creek bed, and that water will track down. And then we have a new place for our water to collect, which is out in the yard at our little catch basins. So these little catch basins. So these little dry creek beds kind of all over the place. And this is actually a more naturalized kind of, it's a prettier look than those concrete splash blocks you guys are, most people are accustomed to. So we've got these little dry creek beds working. And we're taking the water into the catch basins. And the catch basins then serve another 4-inch solid pipe. And then we're daylighting it again. And that daylight there is going into another little system. And this is kind of just an idea on a drainage system. This is just conceptual. This is not a real house. This is just my little take on an 80s meets mid-century modern thing. I just was playing around. It's like, okay, I just need a big roof line to draw. So this concept involves a series of bioswales. And for those who are not familiar, bioswales pretty much are a way to filter and clean the water and move water to specific areas of the yard. So we're going to create little bioswales. So this is our first one, and we're creating a little meadow here to where the drainage, where our water is going and it's being used and filtered and cleaned before it runs off into the city drainage system. So we're trying to avoid messy, yucky, contaminated water from getting here, and too much water getting into here, and actually using the water that comes off of our properties. So we're creating kind of a series of drain inlets, and these drain inlets all over the property, using grading techniques, grading your yard properly, give yourself little areas where the water drains into these service pipes that then daylight out into areas that we want to steer the water to, into these cool little bioswales. And we'd make these bioswales, these splash points. What I've done here, these little splash points are combinations of cobblestone and river rock and kind of cool little naturalized boulders. So the water goes into there and fills this space. So we've got a little system going here, and we're getting water kind of moving all through here. And I also kind of add a little point here, and we can get into this discussion later in life, but of a driveway runoff and creating a permeable system, which also has a pipe running underneath it. Once you get through the aggregates, filters through, and then we have a pipe that then services again an area we'd like to reclaim the water. I don't know how long a lot of you guys have been around, but back in the early 2000s, Kay Barnes, who was the mayor of Kansas City at the time, had a program called 1,000 Rain Gardens, and that was the initiative, was to minimize the runoff going into the city's sewer system, stormwater management system, and these were called rain gardens at the time. So, you get confused. This is pretty much a rain garden. So, in these processes I've been going through on drainage, been really thinking about how to use pipe effectively. And of course, all of this pipe is 4-inch corrugated solid drain pipe with 9-inch catch basins at these points. So all this pipe really does a good job about moving the water. It's a matter of not having these clogged up. Well, good thing about these catch basins are any kind of debris that builds up in there, it's not direct debris. It's debris that's gone through the whole process with these nice dry creek beds, naturalized splashes. So all that debris and all that stuff has a lot of obstacles to go through before it gets to that catch basin. Well, the cool thing about those catch basins is you can actually pop those lids off and clean them out relatively easily. Much easier than messing with this little 6-inch guy at the end of this. And that's a lot of debris in there, where this is more of a minimal debris. So here's all your 4-inch pipe feeding out into areas of the yard. And of course, this is perforated under here. So we'll just call this perforated 4-inch pipe under here. That's underneath your program papers. Well, now you have a whole system developed where your water is now feeding your landscape, and you're not having to use your sprinkler as much, and you're actually taking your sprinkler water and directing that through these rain gardens. So some little plants, make it look really pretty over here. But one of the cool things is I'm kind of big on is, it's just a little design thing, is having areas of naturalized taller turf and then manicured turf, really manicured turf. But having that manicured turf be in smaller, purposeful areas. So this would be your manicured turf, got it up against the front walk here, the entry into the house. Really good presentation. And that puppy just kind of contours through the yard, actually using the turf in this area like more like a 5-foot path to your curb. Plus you're again minimizing the runoff to the street. So this is your little areas that are manicured turf. Kind of cool. Kind of being a little sloppy with the old markers, but you get it. We're just making it fun and fast. And then we have these kind of cool areas where we have the longer turf. So when I say longer turf, I mean more like, you know, leave it tall. So you have kind of a delineation of space. I'm just using a huge contrast on the color just to kind of show you the delineation of that space. So you have a combination of things kind of going on here. You have your combination for this system is, of course, your drain pipe, your 4-inch drain pipe, your fittings, which of course are 4-inch 90s, and catch basins. And I have a little 4-inch Y here. And this is pretty much I think would be kind of a cool little system. That's it for today, guys.